Hello and welcome to Answers for Living. I'm Kathy Barto, an elder with the Avondale Presbyterian Church. Pastor Dave asked me if I would fill in for him today and tomorrow. Have you ever heard of the 7 woes of judgment? Well, in the book of Matthew, Jesus talks about them as he addresses the crowds and his disciples. These woes are against the teachers of the law of Moses, also known as the scribes, and the Pharisees, who were experts in theological matters that the scriptures raised. The word Jesus uses, which is woven throughout these woes, is hypocrite. Listen to Jesus in Matthew 23, verses 2 through 5. The teachers of the law and the Pharisees have the authority to tell you what the law of Moses says, so you should obey and follow whatever they tell you. But their lives are not good examples for you to follow. They tell you to do things, but they don't do the things themselves. They make strict rules and try to force people to obey them, but they themselves will not try to follow any of those rules. Jesus is very critical of these impostors who failed in their roles and responsibilities as leaders. All of these woes are contained in Matthew chapter 23. Listen as I read Jesus' holy words. The first woe is found in verses 13 and 14. How terrible for you, teachers of the law and Pharisees! You are hypocrites. You close the door for people to enter the kingdom of heaven. You yourselves don't enter, and you stop others who are trying to enter. Now the scribes and the Pharisees were false leaders who drew people away from the kingdom of heaven. Instead of recognizing Jesus as the Messiah, they convinced others that he should be killed. The second woe is verse 15. How terrible for you, teachers of the law and Pharisees! You are hypocrites. You travel across land and sea to find one person who will follow your ways. When you find that person, you make him more fit for hell than you are. Now the Pharisees zealously found converts, but it wasn't for the glory of God. It was so they could highly burden their proselytes with extra biblical traditions. The third woe is found in verses 16 through 18. How terrible for you, teachers of the law and Pharisees! You guide the people, but you are blind. You say if anyone swears by the temple, when he makes a promise, that means nothing. But if anyone swears by the gold that is in that temple, then he must keep that promise. You are blind fools. Which is greater, the gold or the temple? The temple makes that gold holy. And you say if anyone swears by the altar when he makes a promise, that means nothing. But if he swears by the gift on the altar, then he must keep that promise. Jesus reminds us that God's temple is what makes anything contained in it holy, and not the other way around. The scribes and Pharisees were guilty of idolatry. The fourth woe is found in verse 23. How terrible for you, teachers of the law and Pharisees! You are hypocrites. You give to God 1/10 of everything you earn, even your mint, dill, and cumin. But you don't obey the really important teachings of the law, being fair, showing mercy, and being loyal. These are the things you should do as well as those other things. Now, as Christians, we know that tithing is expected from us, but so are the teachings of practicing fairness, mercy, and loyalty. They were tithing, but not encouraging giving in other meaningful ways. The fifth woe is found in verse 26. Pharisees, you are blind. First make the inside of the cup clean and good. Then the outside of the cup can be truly clean. Only God can see how clean and pure our hearts are. However, cleanliness and purity radiate from the inside out. The sixth woe is found in verses 27 and 28. How terrible for you, teachers of the law and Pharisees! You are hypocrites. You are like tombs that are painted white. Outside, these tombs look fine, but inside they are full of the bones of dead people, and all kinds of unclean things are there. It is the same with you. People look at you and think you are good, but on the inside you are full of hypocrisy and evil. Now, as we all know, evil doesn't always look evil. When we see someone who has a certain appearance that is likable, an assumption takes place. We may assume from this that the person is good and has our best interest in mind. That's not always the case. The seventh woe is found in verses 29 through 32. How terrible for you, teachers of the law and Pharisees! You are hypocrites. You build tombs for the prophets. You show honor to the graves of people who lived good lives. And you say, if we had lived during the time of our fathers, we would not have helped them kill the prophets. But you give proof that you are children of those people who murdered the prophets, and you will complete the sin that your fathers started. When Jesus told them that they would complete the sin that their fathers started, he was, of course, referring to his upcoming crucifixion. We can learn a lot from Jesus' 7 woes of judgment. Remember the saying, do as I say, not as I do? Watch out for people who don't practice what they preach. Till tomorrow, peace be with you.